As a content creator, you're always looking for the best ways that you can create your content, whether you're using video or audio, or text, whatever. I've got something I want to share with you that you are going to want to see all the way through. Looking at Gemini, looking at Nano, Banana, the Pro, the kind of things that are available there with Google and ChatGPT and Perplexity. Look at them. You're going to be surprised when you see what can be done with this as you're creating your own episodes and putting them together. Hi, I'm Terry Brock, and we talk about how you can use this at our Stark Raving Entrepreneurs. And I want to show you what can be done with this. Matter of fact, I'm going to start it off right off the bat here with something that's going to be very, very helpful to you. I asked this question here to Gemini using ChatGPT and Gemini as two that I'm looking at, and I asked it what are the differences there, and look what it told me here. It said the defining difference for a content creator is that ChatGPT is a creative writer while Gemini is a production assistant. That came out right off the bat, and I'd have to agree with what it said. For writing, ChatGPT, as we're doing this recording right now, tends to be a little bit better. I find when I'm sending out my emails that I like using ChatGPT a little bit more. However, I also use Gemini. Here's a trick that many people are using that has helped a lot. Take the prompt that you have, take the script that you put in there, what you want it to say, and as you refine it within the LLMs, those large language models, I use the same one and I'll run it through ChatGPT and Gemini, often Perplexity, and Grok, G-R-O-K, Grok. I'll run it through that. Why would I do that? Well, not that I'm going to use every one of them for everything, but I find there's often a little nuance. Grok will give me something that's just a little bit on the cheeky side, a little bit out of what you would normally get elsewhere. And I can use that, and then I bring it in, give it my own voice, my own flavor, and use it that way. What you want to do is, as we know right now, do not just copy and paste putting something in. Not a good thing to do, because that's just too AI-ish. There's a word that we've come up with lately, AI-ish, and you want it to be you. I often say you will need to you-ize it. Put in your feeling, your experiences, your thoughts. Don't just give me a quote of someone. That's nice to do. And I like using quotes, but tell me what you think about that quote, where you agree with it or where you disagree with it. And when you're doing this here with Gemini and looking at ChatGPT, you find some real good uses for it. Matter of fact, as we go back here and take a look at what it said here, it says, we're looking at what's going on here as a breakdown of what it can do. The Gemini only feature set has some real advantages, and this blew me away when I found out about this. It is pretty amazing. Listen to what you can do with Gemini. You can paste a YouTube link in there, and Gemini watches it, it puts that in quotes, as it analyzes visual events, on-screen text, and audio tone, not just the transcript. It can tell you the host holds up a green product at 2 minutes, 14 seconds. Think about the power of that. It knows what's going on in the way I say, oh, for instance, I've often used this if I know someone, say a person, I really like him, we're good friends and everything, and I look at him and I say, yeah, John, you look really good today. You know, he knows, John knows that I'm poking fun at him, I'm saying something about what he did, but those words, John, you looked really good today, if that's all you're getting, you're not getting the emotion. Gemini can test that emotion using something from YouTube. It will sense it. We don't get that, not yet, from ChatGPT. And notice what it says here. ChatGPT relies mostly on transcripts, which is text. It generally cannot see the video context unless you painstakingly upload frame screenshots. So you see, you're dealing with something that doesn't have there. You do have that within YouTube, and that's really important for what you're putting it together when you're putting things together. There's also a lot more you can do with it. You can use the types and be able to pull in much more information. This is very important for those of us who are content creators, who do a lot of creation, and I'm working with a client right now who has a lot of really good content, many documents, PDFs, Word docs that have been written before years ago, and they're still good today using content that is evergreen, but we're using Notebook LM now to process all of that. It can take a huge amount in there. Well, what do I mean? Well, let's look at this. It says, look, with Gemini, you can upload 10 hours of raw podcast audio or a 500-page PDF of audience comments, and it will hold the entire thing in memory at once. That is amazing. You can take all of that information, put it in there, and it brings the information from that. And also, when you're using Notebook LM, which ties in with Gemini because they're all under the Google platform, using that to tie them together. It gives you the ability to store a lot more information when you have a lot of other things to put in there. So I'm using ChatGPT for what I do, a little bit more creativity, a little bit more of my style. It remembers me and my Terryisms that I'll put in there, a little bit better than Gemini does right now. And so I'll use that. It's doing a lot, but there's another advantage of using Gemini versus that when you're working with it, because it says here, while large, the context window often forces it to forget the beginning of a long conversation or summarize large files heavily, losing nuance. That's important. When we see that Gemini has a larger memory to remember those kind of issues that are available, ChatGPT does not. This is a real advantage for that, but I do like ChatGPT for that. And the research side, I find, tends to do a little bit better with Perplexity, particularly with their labs feature, the labs in Perplexity. So what am I saying? Well, the theme throughout all of this, as I think you'll read, is don't rely on only one tool. That'd be like saying, well, I don't need anything else except a hammer if I'm going to do work with building a house. Well, you do need a hammer, but you're going to need a lot more too. So you're going to get different tools. Now, it also means you don't go to the extreme and get 300,000 tools that you're going to try to master. I recommend 1, 2, maybe 3 good tools that you can use very comfortably and easily. That's a good basis. Now, you might have an extra one, like for instance, I might use 11 Labs, because 11 Labs gives me the ability to do much more with voice for creating, cloning voices, bringing in extra voices that sound more natural. That's a good tool. So you're going to use different tools for different purposes, and that's really the best way to use it. And if you're a YouTuber creating lots of video, you might also want to look at using Gemini and some of the advantages that it has. Here's what it told me when I took a look at how it can work and the kind of benefits that it has for it. It says that here we've got from competitor analysis. The competitor analysis is real handy because you can paste a competitor's video in and ask what visual hook did they use in the first 5 seconds? What is the text overlay style? Gemini can analyze the actual visuals. This is important. It can take a look at those visuals and figure out what to do. And it can create visuals for you also in another way. As an example, when I was putting this together for you today, what I wanted to do is I wanted to take a look at a graphic real fast. And because Gemini is tied in with Nano Banana Pro, that really good graphics capability, look what it did for me and for you with this right here. It gives me the ability to see what's going on. And I'll make this a little bit bigger for you so you can see it. I said, here, Gemini, your central AI hub. And it shows me here the Google that I can use in the ecosystem. It shows me how I can use Nano Banana Pro over here. It shows me over down here how I can use Google AI Studio, putting all that together. They're all tied in together. And Notebook LM up here. So I've got that for getting the context that I want. By the way, it is a great little tool for that. And I would recommend take a look at that. We're using it right now with a few clients that are tying information together. Nice thing about it, with Notebook LM, it does not look outside of what you put in there. It doesn't look over on the net to see other things. Now, you can get that elsewhere, of course, within Gemini and other tools, but it doesn't, and that's an advantage. It doesn't hallucinate. It's feeding in your material. For instance, one client we're working with right now has got a lot of content. We put it in there with several different works, several books, also using audio and video. Sometimes it might be an audio only file. Other times it might be video, which has audio and video, but not the text. Then we feed in text also. It takes all of that, putting it together, and that's what now it will do with this, but it retains only that information there. So it's not bringing in something else to hallucinate. This is really good for quality. And then of course another thing that's real handy with this is it gives you the ability to look at the Google Workspace. Look at this. It'll tie into your Gmail, your Google Docs, your Google Sheets. It will look at all of that information, your Google Drive, all the information that you have there together, all in one. And by the way, take a look at this, just a creator to creator. It created this right here for me in about 30 seconds. 30 seconds, which is pretty amazing. Putting that graph together, like that looks professional, and I can use it. This is why me and many others are looking at, we've got to start looking at Gemini. Before, or long ago, like maybe a month ago in the AI world, I was only using ChatGPT, didn't do a whole lot with Gemini at all. Now that they've come up with some ways to tie all this together and to link the Nano Banana for wonderful graphics, to link the tool capability, Notebook LM, bring that tool in there is amazing. And then the AI Studio to create other tools for me as well. And they all blend together under the roof of Google. It's something that we have to pay attention to. So one of the real keys you can have for success is using at least 3 tools there that you learn to work with very well. This can be very easy. Now, a lot of people say, oh no, I don't want to get all that much, it's just cluttering my brain. I'm not saying know it 100% for each tool. You might know 20% of this tool, 5% of that tool, but that 5% is what really helps you and lets you do something you can't do elsewhere. I use that. For instance, I use Camtasia for being able to put together some of the videos for editing. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know enough that it works with me and the work that I do. So I can use that and I get it done quickly. As a content creator, being able to process something very rapidly and quickly is really good. For me, the combination of Ecamm, which I'm using to record this now, gives me the ability to bounce back and forth. For instance, hey, creator to creator, look what I can do is I can come in here and say, here's a graph that I want you to see, a table that was put together, and then here we are with just me. I'm going back and forth easily. When I use Camtasia, I can do that. So what I'm able to do is to get a lot more done in a lot less time, and I would encourage you to look at that. Oh, and by the way, that table that I just showed you, it's the verdict. And let's take a look at this for what we're talking about here using Google Gemini, ChatGPT, or Perplexity. I think it's real handy, and it shows where they each shine and where it's best. For Google Gemini, it's best for operations and repurposing. Real good for that. With ChatGPT, creative writing and scripting. And then Perplexity, research and fact checking. I find that Perplexity really does a good job with that. And I like to, when I'm doing research, to have more than one tool looking at it. The nice thing about it is you take the same prompt and put it in those 3, and then just look at the differences and the similarities that they have. If you see the same thing in all 3, that's a signal to me, hey, this is a good thing. They really all mentioned it. But I might find some little tidbit there in Perplexity that didn't come through on the other tools that I might use. So this can be real handy and help you to get a lot of the work done that you need to do. Also, the superpower, integrating with your Drive, your Docs, and email, that is incredible when we're working with Gemini. Blending all of that together really helps me a lot. One of the things I love best about it is when I get the summary, I can just click on a button and be able to have it transferred over in the right formatting into a Google Doc. Just like that. Now, can you do that with ChatGPT? Sure. You got to copy it, then you go over there, you open it up, then you paste it in, then you got to go in there and adjust some of the formatting and all of those kind of things. Not as easily done, but this works out beautifully when we need to make it work the right way. And then with Perplexity, citing real-time sources accurately. It does a great job with that. And then we look at some of the weaknesses. Well, Gemini can be a little bit dry or corporate in tone, and with ChatGPT, it's a walled garden. It doesn't see your files. This is important. When you're using Notebook LM, it looks at your files and your files only. Remember, that's helping to reduce the hallucination when you want your quality content put together. And then for Perplexity, not real good for creative writing. I think it's okay, not great, but it does some nice things for you and lets you see the kind of capabilities that are available. So in sum, for content creator to content creator, I would recommend that you get one really good tool you can use. For me, it's now shifting from ChatGPT as the main thrust for everything over to Gemini. So I can see what it is. That's currently what it's like. Who knows, there might be a new development tomorrow that causes us to go, oh boy, we need to now use this other one over here as the main tool. That's why you want to have a good rudimentary working knowledge of that program. It's kind of like in languages. If you live in a country where there's people that speak 2 or 3 different languages, it would be good to understand some basic words from those particular tools, or carry your smartphone with you that can translate today even better and have those ready to go. The idea is that you are able to serve your clients by having the skills that you need and being able to do the kinds of things that need to be done. This is going to be important and will give you a real advantage. And another way to get an advantage is to get to know us more here at Stark Raving Entrepreneurs. Matter of fact, we would really appreciate if you would like this and let the algorithms know that you really care for the kind of content we have here, and share this with others. Matter of fact, here's how you can be a real success. Be able to share this with your community. They will love you for doing that. And then of course, subscribe. We'd love you to have that subscription with us. That would mean the world to us, so that way it really helps out. And we've got something for you here. We have put together something people are loving right now. AI tools for biz.com. That's the number 4. AI tools, the number 4, biz.com. And we've got some tutorials there that we like to update for you to see, oh, here's some new things that are going on. There's a QR code on there. If you're catching this on video, you can do it that way. But also other tools like Gamma and Cast Magic, Taja, that really give a lot of capability to you as a developer and as a content creator. So this is where we are today. It's a wonderful world. Get to know those tools and let us know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. Let us know and drop a note there. And we've got another video for you here that's going to help you a lot. It's going to help you to see how you can use these tools together and really get even more done. I'm Terry Brock. Thank you very much for joining me, and I am really looking forward to hearing from you.